feel like there's a lot of, it's interesting because when I speak on stages, I started really pursuing my speaking career, which I always knew I wanted to do professionally about a year and a half ago. And I realized like when one of my opening questions is, because I focus on executive coaching for entrepreneurs. So one of my opening questions is always, how many people in the room are entrepreneurs? And, you know, everybody answers, about like 95% of the room would raise their hand. And I said, well, how many of you played a sport when you were younger? And about like 97% of the room will raise their hand. I said, how many of you didn't have the opportunity to play a sport, but you would have if you could have had that opportunity? And the other 3% raised their hands. So an athlete mindset, it's very fascinating, actually trickles into the entrepreneur space. Did you play sports growing up?
Of course, basketball only, not football. They say you're tall, you're 6'4", you're 250 means that you played football, but that's wrong. You can be tall, 6'4", 250 and play basketball.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the skill set and the work ethic and the discipline and the heart, I don't really think the height, I mean, yes, you'll have an advantage in that like range, but there's plenty of people that don't meet that stat. And I think that's like the biggest thing that I love showing people is with a strong work ethic, with the right mindset. I call it like a mindset reset, and you get very focused. You can accomplish heightened levels of success in anything that you put your focus into. But you have to make sure that your heart is with it, because if your heart is not with it, you will not win the long game.
I love that you say that. So we talk about long game then, because I like to play long game, short game. And the time we're recording this, you know, for the sports people out there, it's the Masters and things like that. Cultivating, a growth mindset. How would you speak about that in your own personal words? And how do we develop a greater good with that?
I feel like with the times, because I like to also be time appropriate, there's a lot of external circumstances that are creating mental paralysis and a fog around a lot of people's mindset. And they're not clear on what they even want. So if you're somebody that doesn't know what you want, like, the worst thing you can do is start to judge yourself and get into the space of self-depreciation, because what we depreciate will depreciate, including self and our relationship with self, and what we appreciate will appreciate. And if you understand how to leverage on what you don't want based on past experiences, because knowledge stems from your experiences in life, you could look at it as a positive thing, because the reason why I'm saying this is clarity is what builds momentum for confidence. A lot of people think they're lacking a confidence thing. They're actually lacking clarity on what they want, clarity on where they're going, clarity in their future, and just kind of staying in this stuck AF like energetic space. So when you leverage off of, because you mentioned like, well, how do we get there? When you leverage off of what I don't want because this is what I've been experiencing or what I've experienced, then you could just say, like, we call it shape-shifting. You could just shape-shift it into the opposite. And you got to think of it as like, I use Waze. Do you use Waze or use Google Maps?
Depends on how I'm navigating. Could be a little bit of both.
Depends on which one's working at the time.
Exactly. Let's talk about it. You know.
Depends on which one gives me the right route of what I want. So if you look at, so we have two options, okay? So whatever you guys use, but if you understand the way that it works, it knows where you're at. It's pinpointed where you're at as long as you have the thing on. And all you got to do is type in that destination of where you want to go. The reason why people are running around in circles is because they don't have an end target to put into their Waze, into their GPS to hit go. And it's going to happen where not every day is going to be a smooth journey where it gets you from where you are to where you want to be. They're going to tell you the roadblocks. They're going to tell you the traffic, the delayed time. They're going to tell you if there's accidents or there's delays. Like, that's just part of life. But if you're clear on where you're going, then, and you understand that here's where I am, here's where I want to be, there's a bridge, there's guaranteed mental obstacles, physical obstacles, emotional obstacles, and spiritual obstacles. They're going to be things that are going to try to get in your way to block your blessings. But if you can at least get clear and certain on where you're going, the rest is just going to be like, you're going to get there. But the issue that I see a lot of people is they don't have the end target to put in there. And the one place to start, going back to the beginning of what you had asked, is to leverage off of what you don't want. Because
I love that you say that.
Clear.
Yeah, I love that you say that. I feel like it's like we're not flexible enough, right? Some people want to be flexible in the gym and gymnastics and yoga and things like that. But the biggest flexibility is our mind. We don't have that, it seems like, right? I'm not saying me and you, because you're like, how do I say this? You're like one of the best in the game. So I want to give you your flowers while we're on this pod.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
And like for my audience, check you out because you're real, right? You're so real with your talking points. Instagram stories. I catch it sometime and I always watch and I always show the social digital currency also too. So one of the things that come up for me is you talk about entrepreneurship is like a sport, right? What's that all about? Speak to my audience about that.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship as a sport.
So getting back to the beginning of our conversation, majority of people are athletes. So I think everything's about like being able to understand information and to get it into different perspective, because when you change your perspective, you're going to move differently. And if you look at it like, so I have an upcoming book and it's called Building the New, A Year of Living on Purpose. And I wanted to turn it into a playbook. I feel like if you turn any of our challenging times into something that's lighter, like even in the law of attraction, or, you know, when life gets heavy, if you make it, figure out like, how can I have fun with this? Sports. Like, yeah, we can get super serious. Yeah, we can take it to like the next level. But if you start to resent what you're doing, because there's going to be hardship, there's going to be obstacles, there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be trials and tribulations that are really going to test your commitment. So if you look at it as a sport and you're an athlete, another reason why I had to change the perspective when I was trying to explain to clients is because a lot of people in the entrepreneurial space, especially that have been in there for a while and that have built successful external like businesses, is because they intertwine their identity with what they do. So when times get hard and businesses collapse, or maybe you're getting ready to sell your business, and I'm talking about 7-8-figure business earners, they have a very hard time and go through some severe mental issues because their identity is intertwined with their career. And if you understand you're a human being, you're an athlete before you're a sport, then you get to decide, okay, well, if I'm a human being and I get to decide what sport I want to play, like I said earlier, I tried a bunch of different sports, and I'm so blessed that I had parents that allowed me to try and quit and try and quit and try and quit. And the faster I quit, the faster I was able to find the sport that was for me. And there's so many options. There's so many options of career. So you get to decide, okay, number one, let me try as many different things as where I feel like my heart is. And let me fall in love with something. And then when I fall in love with it, now, what position do I want to play? Do I want to be CEO? Do I want to be an entrepreneur and work with this company and be the best of the best with this company? Like, what position do I want to play? And how far do I want to take it? Do I want to just take it peewee, or do I want to play pro? And when I play pro, do I want to just sit on the bench and say I made it? Or do I want to take it to the championship and be the MVP of the team? In what position? Do you want to play center? Do you want to play linebacker? Do you want to play? I played ice hockey, so there was center, there was right wing, left wing, defense, goalie. Like, what position do you want to play? What sport do you want to play? And how far do you want to take it? And I think it makes more sense when you're getting into like careers, and not getting caught, not allowing your career to identify your self-worth and the amount that you value yourself. It's a sport. It's a game. You just got to decide, like, what game do you want to play? What sport do you want to play? And how far do you want to take it?
Love you say that. It's good. Well said. Storytelling at its finest. Immaculate.
Simplicity.
Now, was that?
Taking complex things and making it simple. That's how you know you're around an expert.
I love that. I love that. So my question is with entrepreneurs, and I feel like this could be a little buzz. Like, I like to throw the curveballs. Do you think a lot of entrepreneurs plateau just because of all the other things that are going around? Family, friends, networking, content creation. I feel like there's so many different avenues to go through.
Well, it depends on, like I said, what level of an entrepreneur you're talking about. I work with high achievers that operate at elite levels or that are striving to be. So if we're talking specifically about the niche market of the people that I work with in their mindset, they don't plateau, they burn out. And it's because they've put business and family above their self-care. I created a 90-day accountability calendar, a 90-day sprint challenge that we move through. And it's about building a productivity schedule, not a busy schedule, without compromising yourself, your family, or the things that you love. And when you look at your day as like a sprint, and I have literally my day is time audited. I have my breaks in there. I have my workouts in there. I have my prayer, my meditation, like nothing, my self-care. My non-negotiables are not compromised. It doesn't matter what my workload is because I know that my workload and the people that I'm serving, they are dependent on my energy and my mental sharpness. And as entrepreneurs or business owners and even like elite employees, because they're super important. If you work for a company, like companies are so dependent on your performance. And it's just about taking ownership on like, how am I showing up mentally, physically, emotionally, and energetically so that I can perform at my peak performance regardless of what life throws at me? And so in order to do that, you have to make sure that you have non-negotiables set in place. And a lot of people don't have boundaries. They don't even have non-negotiables and they have no self-care routine.
Why do you think the boundaries are not put in place? You think it's because they have to be people pleasers?
People pleasers is a very common trait for extremist personalities. There are common threads and common personality traits that have been learned from childhood, and people pleasing is one of them. And so, yeah, that could definitely be one of them. It's also an all or nothing mentality. So if they have reached heightened levels of success in one area of life and they suck at another, like taking care of themselves, and it's super overwhelming and they don't even know where to start, then that could be another reason, all in or not in, or once life gets heavy, they then put themselves in the back burner. But I feel like that comes down to self-worth and self-value. And that's just things that have been taught since childhood. You know, everything, our perception and the way that we see ourselves, the way that we value ourselves, have a lot to do with the foundation that has been established since childhood. And what I've realized, and something I've had to tremendously work on, because I built a business based on what I needed and I wanted, and that foundation is not there.
You think it goes with confidence also too? Because I feel like in this space, confidence is the thing. I don't feel like a lot of people have confidence.
Well, confidence comes back to the original part of our conversation, which comes back to clarity. If you're not clear on the topic that you're speaking about, of course you're not going to be confident about it. I've been in this for 18 years. So to be able to articulate in a way that makes sense for people in a short, sharp way has been years of like stumbling over words and not making any sense. So once I started seeing common patterns from people be like, wow, that makes sense, or I'd get positive feedback, I'm like, okay, those key words actually worked and that people are understanding what I'm saying. So these are skill sets that come with also investing in yourself, investing in, if you are stuck at something, hire a coach, a mentor. I have coaches. I call it like your lineup. Who's a part of your lineup? And knowing what season you're in, and there are going to be times where you need to change out your lineup. Does your lineup have your back? Do you trust your lineup? You know, because these are also decisions that you have to be made. Not one successful person do I know, or have I gotten to this point where I've done it alone, whether investing in coaches, mentors, assistants, people to help me with certain things and put it together. Like, it has not been done alone. Even mentors through podcasts and books and investing in conferences. Like, I've dropped 6 figures on mentorship and education, and probably maybe almost like a little bit more, but I know at least like $300,000 plus on mentorship and self-development, personal growth and development, you are your greatest asset. And until people understand that those are things, yes, you can't like touch it, feel it, or see the ROI, the return on investment, like by pouring into yourself, that's going to extend into every other thing that you're doing in your life, because everything is an extension of self.
Love that you say that. What's your zodiac, real quick?
My zodiac, I'm a Capricorn.
That's what I'm getting. Okay, that's what I'm picking up.
We're very,
Capricorn.
yeah, but okay, if we're gonna get real, so they say billionaires hire astrologists, millionaires hire like coaches, therapists, this, but I say like, why not have both? I have an astrologist, I've worked with astrology, and the thing is, you have 12 houses in your chart, and your dominant one, it still has like rising and stuff, and then you still have like all of the signs in the different like charts of your life. Like you have a life wheel, and you have like Gemini and fun, or you have, Sagittarius.
No. So you're not gonna do this. You're not gonna come on
Yeah,
the show
see,
now
like, listen, if
and
you're
just show me that wheel. What's that wheel? What is that?
Oh, so there's one of my programs that I run. I run around January time. This is called the Life Wheel. And there's like about 10 subcategories. For me, why my clients get like massive success and like healthy speed is because I make things very practical. I think when coaches overcomplicate or they make it like conceptual versus practical, like how do I incorporate this in my life? Like with the season I'm in right now, they feel capable. When people feel capable of it, they're going to integrate. The integration is 99% of their change and transformation. So this is just kind of like, I give this with my clients. It's called the Life Wheel Workshop. And I've integrated more like Dr. Joe Dispenza with the vision boards, but that's more like the mind movie. And it's, just kind of like rating your life 1 through 10 in different subcategories, like out of a level of fulfillment. And, to kind of just visit it, like, where am I? What's a priority right now in my life? Do I feel like fun is a priority? Am I having fun? Is it a 0? What about like you could be a 10 in career and a 0 in finance, or like a 3 in finance. So they're separate categories. It really helps people look at their life in a perspective of like, oh, like let me audit my life. Like you get audited with your money. That's only 1/10 of your life. Why would you not audit the other areas of your level of fulfillment?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, before we get back into the whole coaching and mentoring thing, you speak a lot about seasons, and I feel like I always want to be precise and dialed in with the audience. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you speak about season, is it like season, not to be ignorant to this, is it season like spring, summer, fall, winter, or is it from like a season from like a spiritual higher upper echelon?
Yeah, that's a great question. So just like athletes are in different seasons, they're in season, they're out of season. We've got 4 seasons of the year. If you like love food like I do, like my restaurants are season 52 where they change up their menu based on that. If you look at your life as seasonal, like I think people look at life as things are permanent, and it allows them to accept the space that they're in, whether it being a hardship or a feeling like they're stuck or being in an indecisive phase or even being in a great phase, just knowing like this is a season and how can you maximize your capacity and live life in your full potential in this season, because it's temporary. Nothing is permanent. The only thing guaranteed is change. And so when you understand that, you also have a more flexible mindset to know like maybe what worked last year or 6 months ago. Right now, there's a lot of pivoting happening in many businesses. COVID, there was a lot of pivoting happening, and that was a season. Was it an amazing season? It depends on your perspective and, how your outlook of life is. So everything's seasonal, nothing's permanent. What season am I in? When you accept the season you're in and the phase you're in your life, you're more likely to make progress, because you cannot make progress when you are rejecting what you're going through. Acceptance is the only space energetically to start making progress, especially when you're going through hardship.
Wow. Well said. Well fucking said. So I like to get a little controversial. Do you
That's
think with
cool.
social, pardon me?
I said, that's cool. I'm down for that.
I love it. You're so humble. You're so, so humble. When we think of social media, because I feel like a lot of experts in could be podcasting, coaching, you know, we work hard. We pay the money. We find the resources, we find the tools. And I think there's a lot of people that just maybe copy and paste a lot of what's going on.
Yeah.
In your range and your momentum in your field, do you see that a lot? That a lot of people just pick and plug and play with talking points because it may sound cool out of a book or their mentor or their coach or the seminar they went to. They just use these phrases, they use these slogans, put it on social media, and then kind of advertise their own way, kind of like winging it, fake it till you make it?
I mean, it kind of comes back to what you're focusing in on. And I would see like a lot of people starting to like copy my stuff and my verbiage and not give credit for it. And I just feel like at the end of the day, I mean, I created a whole podcast called Minding My Business. I don't have time or energy to focus on what other people are doing. God has a bigger mission for me. And this is something I was like really processing this weekend. I really took like time for myself to have more of an intimate like disconnect to connect to God. And the biggest thing, is it my doing or is it God's doing? And to separate the voice. And there's just so much noise out there that people aren't connected to their hearts. And the reason why I'm emphasizing the heart is because the mind is based on programming. The heart is a uniquely designed gift for each human being. And even there's been studies where people have had heart transplants, and there's something called heart math, where heart math came and they researched where somebody had received somebody else's heart and they started picking up a whole different personality trait and like adventures and cravings that were never there. And they would go back and they would ask the family member about whose heart they received, and they would say, oh my gosh, that was my son. Oh my gosh, that was my daughter. Like the heart recognizes truth, and it has its own adventures. It has its own life path. It has its own purpose that is uniquely designed for each and every person. And when we take a moment to look inward versus outward and worry about what everybody else is doing and being a copycat of somebody else, I mean, yeah, you can have the mentors and the coaches and really believe in what they're saying, but I feel like eventually people are going to know that, and you're naturally going to discredit yourself when you're not giving other people credit. Because I think the best thing you can do is acknowledge each other. You know, the best thing we could do is recognize each other, because you're also recognizing yourself. And every single thing, whether we love it or we hate it, is just a mirror reflection of ourselves.
Well said.
I don't know if that answered what you had asked, but I kind of, one thing you're going to learn about me as I get to the core of it and to the reasoning why people behave a certain way and why we behave a certain way.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like we were speaking about, coaching and stuff like that. Me being life coaching, pandemic was doing it. Then I had to shift and plug and play things differently a little bit. I sense with you, and I'm seeing this just by the conversation, the Discord that we're having, you have a very center ability about yourself, right? And it's warm, it's welcoming. And I think the audience that are listening to this or watching this can look at it and say is, how do I get to that space? And I want to speak more to women. How can more women learn from you? And what are the 2 to 3 things that you could say they can bring into their mindset to have that center if they're not from a spiritual side or they don't believe in the higher power of God?
That's why, for the most part, I say energy. Like I even keep in my branding, I say like showing up in your best energy. I try to keep it very like neutral, because I have not always had this intimate relationship with God or the deep spiritual connection that I have today. It's always been an unlayering. You know, like I think there was a phase in my life where I came to the realization that I didn't need to learn anything. I needed to unlearn. I didn't need to go outside to find fulfillment. I actually needed to go inside. And to trust, even in yoga, they say, like, at the end, we honor the guru within. Like we honor ourself, which is our ultimate guru. Our life is our ultimate teacher. And to answer your question, people can follow me on social media. So I'm over there, Tanya C. Oliver. But the first part to building a strong relationship with your most authentic, your most elite version of yourself, your best self, is I do believe it to go in an order, and the simplest order, because I love simplicity. Simplicity has so much power. Things do not need to be complicated. If it's complicated, you're probably not doing it right, or you don't have the right mentor or coach. And I would say, like, the simplest thing is start with taking care of your body. Your body is going to be able to gain clarity in your mind. It will clear up a lot of the confusion. The way that we take care of our body, the food that we put in it. There's a book actually that I have a lot of my students read. There's a few books, but one of them will make more sense. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Have you read it?
No, but that's now you just said it.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a sucker for audiobooks, so
And
I'll
it's
be.
not, yeah, it's not, I know, I totally do everything audio, unless there's this one, like, there's a few books I'm trying to get back to eliminating electronics an hour before bed, so I started getting some paper books for that. So I would say is like getting on a morning night routine, definitely night routine, which impacts your morning. Having a schedule and having structure in your day is going to lead to order in your life. You mentioned groundedness. There is work behind the work. I have structure in my day. And I mean, there's freedom within structure if it's done right. Because I have another part of the elite entrepreneurs is a rebellious personality. So you have to also, one thing we crave is freedom. There has to be there cannot be freedom without discipline, and there is no discipline without order. So having structure is going to lead to order, and having no structure is going to lead to chaos. Chaos in your mind, chaos in your life, chaos in just every segment of your life. And so if you understand, discipline is actually freedom. It's not punishment unless you're on the wrong path, because there's a difference here. But I would say start taking care of your body, start eating well because of how you want to feel, the energy you want to have, and how you deserve to feel good. And then the body is going to be the bonus, but it's not about the aesthetics. It's about how you're going to be impacted mentally, physically, emotionally, and the energy that you're putting out there. Then start learning about shadow work. Start learning about how to be more emotionally available. Because if you're emotionally available, you can then learn about emotional management. And then when you learn about emotional management, then you can acquire skills of emotional intelligence. But what people don't understand is you cannot be emotionally intelligent if you are not emotionally available. It's like 1, 2, 3. And also you can't skip steps. You have to go back to the core, to the basics, to the fundamental. Establish your foundation. Take care of your body. Learn how to take care of your mind. Learn how to process negative thoughts and emotions. Understand your toxic shadow personality traits. Learn a lot about this is all self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and how to operate at peak states. So, but I would say the first place to start is start taking care of your body. It's going to make the mental, the emotional, and the energetic stuff a little bit easier, a lot easier, actually, a lot easier.
No, I like to say that.
I went down like a little rabbit hole. That's why even in like my programs, I break it into physical, mental, emotional, and energetic, because there is like even energy psychology. You start getting into energy psychology, but you got to have those other 3 like on point before you can really even start to master your energy, which is really powerful because all life is energy, and energy cannot be faked. You can't fake energy. You could feel energy is felt.
It's funny you say that because I went to a trade show. It was like a taco beer thing, whatever, midjig. And a lady stopped me. I walked by her and a lady stopped me. And she grabbed me. And And she's like, hey, listen, I got to tell you something. She goes, I see you walking around here. She says, your energy commands the room. You know how to like control a room. And I've heard a lot of people say that through my journey through life. And I just was like, really? And I thought about it one day and I was like, what does that really mean? And that's why I always say to a lot of people, you have to make sure in life you are the best version of yourself 100% of the time, because you don't know who's watching. That one person could be watching you, and that could be your ticket to the next level to shoot you up to wherever it is you're wanting to go and things like that. And that's why I would say is always be a firm believer of yourself. Stand on your 2 feet, right? And I learned that now it would have been working from home, right? For the last 6.5 months. Now I'm back doing what I need to be doing. But when I was working from home, I really got a good anchor of who it is that I am even more. And it's like you talk about the not having limiting beliefs, protecting parts of your circle, not having these negative energy vampires coming in, creeping in and things like that, because it will take a toll on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why
I
you just
want
have
to
to
say that too, though, because I've had a conversation with clients lately about like before self-awareness is self-honesty. A lot of times we're not even aware of things because we're not honest about it. This goes back to the self-depreciation. Most of the time we are the energy vampire. We don't understand why we're always tired. What is your mental dialogue like? Are you a liability to yourself, or are you an asset? Are you on your own winning team, or are you like being torn somewhere else? Like, is the mental, the emotional, the physical, like, are you guys like trying to pull apart, tear yourself down? Or are you actually like, hey guys, we're a team. Let's like, huddle in, let's win. And a lot of times I even caught myself, I was in the gym and our best self changes every single day. Every single day our best self changes. So to compare our best self, my best self from, yesterday when today where maybe I need a recharge day and I need a yoga day and not a weight training day, and I'm beating myself up about it, like, whoa girl, you need to like get clear here on whose team you're on. Because I'm draining myself by exhausting and creating a radioactive decay within my energy field. Heck no. So what do? Shapeshift it. You're doing great. You showed up today. I know you've been busting your ass. Like, you know what? I really appreciate you. I think you're doing great. I'm sorry I put you down. I love you. Let's go.
goes into DNA and biology. It was a past episode.
Cellular memory impressions. Epigenetics, cellular memory. Yeah, we could go. That's the energy psychology part.
I feel like that's a deep dive.
It is a deep dive. Let's not go there today. But
No, we won't. We're going to do this again in face-to-face. Just know that. This is happening face-to-face in studio.
We have to create like little like seeds with them people, like planting little seeds, and like, oh, they heard the word. Okay, what does that word mean? Like, you guys look up everything. You guys heard me. I'm like, oh, what is I don't know. Let me actually get clear. Let me not assume or make up my own thing. What does coaching mean? What does mentoring mean? I'm learning something new every day.
For sure. Before we get out of here, 1% better. How do we become 1% better?
1% better. I want to give like something very impactful. Get clear. And if you're not clear, because it's a very hard word, I'm going to give an assignment because I'm very big on like practical, tangible things. And I'm very big on like whether I'm doing a live stream, whatever, to give tools. Make a T-chart, and on the right-hand side, because the way that the brain works is from right to left. But the way that I teach my students to get clear is just brain dump everything that you don't want. The pain that you're feeling, the depression, the overwhelm, write it all down. And then on the left-hand side, write the opposite that comes to mind and go online and look up what those words mean. And today, give yourself an experience of what joy means and feels. Like, tap into what an experience of joy is. Tap into an experience of what peace is. Tap into an experience of what happiness is or fulfillment. Like, tap into, don't just say them, like tap into what is that for me today. And to get 1% better, and this happens a lot with people getting out of addiction or disconnecting from addiction, because the opposite of addiction is connection. So how can I connect with these feelings today, and then just focus on today? That's it. And then tomorrow, focus on today. And then the next day, focus on today. Win the day.
Love that you say that. Well said.
That's it.
I do appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Too.
And where can the audience check you out on social media and what you got coming? You talked about a book somewhere also too.
Yeah, that's still, deadline is July. So that will be like the goal, but I got my website, so I'll be having updates there. It's www.tanyacoliver.com, and also my Instagram. I'm most active Instagram. I got YouTube, trying to be more active there and other ones, but Instagram, you can send me a message at Tanya, Tanyac Oliver.
Listen, before we close out the show, you're not going to say try with the whole YouTube thing. You're going to do it.
I have one stream. So when one stream works, my goal is to be live every single day. So on one stream, I have LinkedIn, I've got Facebook, I've got LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and then I just go live on Instagram. So we do one stream. One stream's like boom, 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 doom. Boom, boom, boom,
boom, boom, boom, doom.
I don't know.
Is that a song? Is that a new song that you're dropping?
That's a new song we're gonna sing. Boom, bum, bum, boom, da ba boop bop. One stream. I don't get paid for this partnership, so they better give me some form of commission if they start getting people over there.
Oh boy, you're funny. No, but build the platform. Build the platform, because I
have the platforms. We use the one stream, and I just go on there live, and that's what we do for now. This is the season we're in. Season.
There you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this season of the podcast, or the episode of the podcast, has to come to an end.
For now.